Welcome to Grace Force YouTube. And I'm going to hit a question that has been asked of me many times, but it surely came up today. I was listening to a podcast, and they were playing an interview with a man named Jerry Falwell. Jerry Falwell was a famous preacher back in the day. He's passed away now. He started a huge church in Thomas Road Baptist Church in Lynchburg, Virginia. He started a university, which is now a big-time Liberty University. He started an organization called Moral Majority. But in this interview that he had, it was right after 9/11. And he said the reason 3,000 people died, it's really because of all the abortions in our country. It's 40 million abortions, and God is mad. And he's just saying, I've had it. And he talked about gay rights, and he talked about a number of other things that he saw as just the country going downhill, and God is sort of storing all that up, and he sends terrorists, and 3,000 people die. Does God punish people like that? Is that what God is like? I heard people say that in New Orleans when they had Katrina. That this was God's punishment on New Orleans for all their terrible, decadent Mardi Gras celebrations. I grew up in Thailand and been to India many times. A few years ago they had the terrible tsunami. Places that we have been, beaches we've been to. And 250,000 people died in seconds from a huge tsunami. And people said on air, this was God's punishment on Islam, Indonesia, India, southern Thailand. Is that what God is like, my friends? I have a neighbor down the street, taught in our school for 28 years, a wonderful, beautiful lady. Maybe not perfect, but she was a good lady teaching first graders. She tripped on a crack on a sidewalk, hit her head, was never the same, had to retire many years too young, never got well, and died very young. And she said to me, I don't think I was that bad. Meaning, I don't think I deserved this punishment from God. I had another young man who got ALS. ALS is terrible. There's no cure, and it's a miserable, miserable life down to death. And he said, I don't think I deserved that. It's one thing to die, but to die like that and to die 20, 30 years before your time. A friend of mine we visited the other night just has had his body racked with one terrible thing after another. And he said, my great-grandfather must have been really bad for these sins to be passed down to the third and fourth generation. He's halfway joking. But he didn't think he deserved all of that. And that's where karma comes from. Is that it doesn't seem to be fair, so therefore it must be some past lives or some other reason, because everything God does is fair, so there must be an exact correlation between somebody's sin and punishment that people are going through. Is God a tit-for-tat God? Don't get mad, but get even. And we would just say, we don't think God is like that. These sort of Old Testament God stories are really not the final word on who God is. They are God breaking into our world and doing the best He can in a very messy, broken, bloody world. He takes people where they are and He begins to try to bring them to a higher level. Hebrews 1 says, God spoke to the prophets before, but now in these last days He has spoken through His Son, the exact representation of His being, the radiance of His glory. Jesus said, you have heard, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But now I say to you. He was the one who said an eye for an eye. But that's what he had to do then. But that was not who he really is, not his preferred, true, bottom line character. His true soul is God is good. He said, but now I want to say to turn the other cheek. That's who God is. You have to decide which set of texts are the final definition and picture of who God is. 1 Corinthians 13:5, love keeps no record of wrongs. Matthew 5:43-48, God says the sunshine and the rain on the just and the unjust. Not just picking out, send rain on people, punishment. Matthew 13:28, Jesus says, an enemy has done this. This is not me. Please don't say that about me. I am not that kind of God. When Peter tried to cut the guy's ear off, Jesus says, my kingdom is not of this world. Otherwise we would fight, but we don't fight. This is not who we are. God is good all the time. God is love all the time. How much clearer does it have to be? John 10, the thief steals and destroys and takes life. I came to give life and life more abundantly. I say those verses, Jesus sums up who God really is. Be careful. God is giving a great degree of freedom to the world, including to Satan. If he undercuts everything Satan does and says, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that, then Satan has a comeback and says, you let me have a little bit of freedom, but not all the freedom. So no wonder people follow you, because you don't let me do all that I would do. If God overrides all the evil in the world for his people and makes it all good for us and does one miracle after the other, then people would be forced to believe. So God has to hang back a little bit and hide in the shadows. He's not the one pushing the buttons, just hurling down 10,000 homes in the terrible fires in California. Every time there's a rotten shooting, every day there's a shooting somewhere. These are not disasters from God, not punishments on people. Very, very careful what we say about God. God is good all the time. He doesn't cause people to be sick. He's not giving me cancer twice now. He is only good, and good all the time. I heard a family had a car racing family had this one died, then one died in a terrible helicopter accident. At the funeral, the president of the car racing organization said, the Allison family has the right to ask some hard questions of God. God has asked a lot of the Allison family. I watched one time when we had a snow blizzard in Chicago, and the weather broadcaster looked up at the sky and said, what did we do to you? It's not God. God is good all the time. I'll die for that. This is Grace Force YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you'll check like somewhere or subscribe. Help us spread this picture of God and build this audience all over the world. God bless you. Till next time. So we'd love it if you enjoy what we have made. If you can like it and forward it on to other people, and we'll build the ministry on social media. Grace Force YouTube. God bless.